Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Live right here on the Built in Buffalo YouTube, X, and Facebook channels. I'm your host, Izzy, and we are here to figure out what, in fact, are they doing? What are the Bills doing? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome, everybody. This is your host, Izzy, right here on the Built in Buffalo Red Zone Report Live here on our X, Facebook, and YouTube channels. I hope this Sunday finds everybody well. Tough loss on Thursday, and it was hard to watch. Right, first half was just bleh. Right, and the second half was worse. The Buffalo Bills in the first half scored 16 points. The Texans scored 20. Davis Mills leads the Texans on a game, leading drive where he takes the Texans down and scores a touchdown. Now, a lot of Bills fans are saying the Bills lost to Davis Mills. No. Davis Mills put up 16 of 30, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't have a great day. QBR 22.6, passer rating of 90. Josh Allen, on the other hand, 24-34, better completion percentage, 253 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's where the kicker is. QBR, Josh was still better, 26.1. Passer rating, Josh was not close, 67.4. This was a hard one to watch because Josh Allen got sacked 8 times for 70 yards, and we sacked Davis Mills 0 times. 0. And I'm going to say hi to everybody in the crowd real quick. Christopher, welcome. Good to see you again. Sandra, always here. Jim Graham, always here too. Damian Thomas, welcome back, boss. Joseph A. Brereton Jr., when is McDermott and Bean going to take the blame? Well, we're going to talk about them a little bit, but yeah. See, the Bills lost to the superior defense. That is correct. Pats, Chiefs, Ravens all won today. They did. That's a good question, right? Is he one good thing we can't lose today? That's a fact. See, Bills defense only allowed 3 points in the second half. That's correct. Yeah. The Bills defense bowed up in the second half. Bills offense did nothing. Scored 3 points themselves. Both teams only scored 3 points in the second half. So the 4-point victory was the margin, basically. It was 20-16 at half. It was 23-19 at the end, and it was pretty horrible to watch. Now, James Cook, his numbers looked like he had a solid day. He had a really long 45-yard touchdown for a touchdown, or 45-yard run for a touchdown. But he got stuffed a lot this game. He had some decent runs, but for the most part, he was getting stuffed all game long. The defense of the Houston Texans was masterful, especially the defensive line. Their secondary was all right. They did pretty good. Josh put up 253 on them and, threw 2 interceptions, but those were mostly due to the stress of the game, not as much because of, how they were doing. If that D-line doesn't do what they do, Josh Allen likely does not have an issue. Give me 1 second, guys. But yeah, it's unfortunate that the Texans defensive line was able to dominate our offensive line that much. Just rushing 4 for the most part, and on occasion they did blitz, and they still got home on them blitzes too. What was it? Henry To'oTo'o got a sack on Josh. This was not a very good game by the Bills' offensive line. It was a terrible game by the offensive line. They let Josh Allen down, and then conversely, Josh Allen let the rest of the team down. It just was not something that looked like it was real. It didn't feel real, but it was very real. And Josh got crushed because of it. See, Dawkins with the false start penalties and coaching staff. Yep. See, it's obvious he needs help. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it's true. Yep. Tim Settlement and Will Anderson had sacks. Yep. And Will Anderson was supposed to have sacks. That was Daniel Hunter. But Tim Settle, like we all know who Tim Settle is. He was on the Bills a couple years ago. He didn't perform like that when he was a Bill. Now he's elsewhere, and he's sacking Josh Allen, which is crazy. Who was the bigger knucklehead? McDermott standing and watching his QB get beat down, or Brady doing absolutely nothing to help the O-line? I would say Brady, because at least Sean, being the defensive coach that he is, was able to dial that defense back in and get the Buffalo Bills back in position to potentially win the game. And Brady just called a horrible game. He called a horrible game. See, Dawkins should give the key back to the city. Ouch. Hey, Izzy, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. You too, Miss Nance. Hope that everything goes well and you guys enjoy the spread on Thanksgiving. See, Izzy, we make every team we play a tough matchup for some reason. Most teams, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. That's Miss Nance. That's Lance Nelson's mother. He is the president of Built in Buffalo. See, head coach responsible for everything. That's true. Now, the head coach is responsible for everything. But some responsibilities are delegated, like offensive coaching, and it is what it is. Now, what are they doing? What are they doing, right? Because last week's game wasn't like this, right? Josh scores 3 touchdowns on the ground and through the air. You know, the defense plays okay, but we still allowed 32 points. And, Josh basically ran over the Buccaneers by himself Thursday. He couldn't do it. Right? He just wasn't able to do it. The Texans' defensive line seems to have our number, right? Last year they did the same thing to us, except Josh didn't put up the passing numbers they put up. Josh was like 9 of 30 last year, which is terrible. Terrible. It's like 30% completion percentage last year. This year he did better against them, but what the hell? Like, are they not drawing up appropriate blocking schemes? Were they just tired from playing on Sunday? Because that should be an excuse, because the Texans played Sunday too. And then they went and bashed our freaking brains in. The score of the game was close. But watching the game was clear. Physically, the Texans dominated the Buffalo Bills. They dominated us. Like, they were more physical, and they were just trying to get there. And it seemed like they should have took Spencer Brown out sooner. Once we realized he was hurt, I feel like they kept him in the game way longer. Ryan Vandermark went out there and he played well. He played well in the stead of Spencer Brown. Why didn't you just put him out there? Let him handle the duties. If you know your starting right tackle's hurt, you risk getting him even more hurt. And he's one of the better right tackles in the NFL. It just wasn't his day. It wasn't Deion Dawkins' day either. And Osiris Torrance got manhandled out there. Right? The interior of our O-line got destroyed this game. And I don't know what the problem is, right? The game plan from last week was completely different from what it was all season. And it seems like they went right back to the same crap that wasn't working before. Hey, we're going to have Josh throw the ball more. We're going to have Josh, handle more of the reads on the field. This game, we ran the ball a ton. And we didn't need to. We shouldn't have run the ball as much as we did. We ran it 24 times. Josh threw for 34 times, right? Most times we have more run plays than pass plays. But this game, just running the ball, like James Cook on 4th down, 4th and 3, or 4th and 1, excuse me, and you don't tush push it. Like, I know a lot of Bills fans are tired of tush push, and the NFL overall seems to be too. But that's not the point. Like, if you have a play that works almost every freaking time, run the damn play. Run that play. Right? The Bills outgained the Texans yards-wise, passing and rushing. The Texans only threw for a total of 153. The Bills, when you take away all the negative stuff, which was the sacks, 183. So 30 more passing yards. We had 40 more rushing yards than them. And they still beat us. Khalil Shakir had 8 catches for 110 yards in this game. No touchdowns. Khalil Shakir was finally being used in a better way this game, but it just wasn't enough. Ty Johnson was our second pass catcher in this game with 3 catches for 45 yards. Then Jackson Haas, 2 for 26. Gabe Davis, 1 for 22. Joshua Palmer, 2 for 21. Then you look at the Texans. Nico Collins, 3 for 55. Christian Kirk, 5 for 54 and a touchdown. Jaden Higgins, 4 for 38 and a touchdown. They didn't have some prolific game on offense. They didn't go out there, and our defense didn't go out there and doo-doo the bed. That was our offense that did that. Sure, we put up yards, but we didn't put up any damn points. No passing touchdowns this game. We had the one rushing touchdown by James Cook, and then Ray Davis, who has been amazing as a return man, took one to the house. And that's where our touchdowns came from. Nothing from the passing offense. I don't know what is wrong with the Bills, right? I don't know what is wrong with them, but I know what are they doing, and it's floundering. The Buffalo Bills played atrociously. Now, we'll go back to some of these comments, right? We have a bunch of them. See, we need a better OC, but I believe we need some owners new owners because I don't believe in Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane anymore. So I still believe in Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. This offseason, they're going to have money to be able to reload. They're going to be able to unload some contracts that'll give the cap some money, and they'll be able to try again, right? They'll be able to go after some trades. Maybe they trade for a receiver on a team that maybe isn't happy being there. Maybe they can, do something of that sort. Maybe they can, get somebody to give some receiver to the Bills. Maybe George Pickens is a free agent. Maybe the Cowboys can't afford him and the other players that they got. They're now going to have to pay Quinnen Williams. They're paying Dak all that money still. They got CeeDee Lamb. They got players to pay, and I don't know if they can be able to keep him. So, I mean, I would take a shot on him, but we'll see what happens. Generally speaking, top flight wide receivers don't hit the market, but this coming year we might see some. And I don't know. I still believe in Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. I do not believe in this roster right now. I don't believe in this roster right now. We have good players, and they're not playing up to the standard that we're used to seeing. Taron Johnson, I believe the decline on him is starting, right? And I love Taron Johnson, but this might have to be his last year in Buffalo. Because there's no way that I'm watching the game and saying, wow, Cam Lewis looks better than Taron Johnson. But that's exactly what I'm saying. Cam Lewis is out there playing better than Taron Johnson. And it's not really that close. And maybe the injuries are catching up to Taron. Maybe, he's just not as good as we hoped he would be. But as of right now, there's an out in his contract. And if the Bills were to cut him after this year, see, if we cut him pre-June 1, 2026, we save $1.99 million. Okay, so they may decide to keep him. If we trade him post, then we save $2.73 million. 2.74. It might be time to be done with Taron Johnson, right? When they cut Curtis Samuel, the Bills save a whole bunch of money, right? If you just sign Joshua Palmer and you have Khalil Shakir under contract, you just got to find a number one, right? Your top 3 receivers are your most important. They cut Curtis Samuel, and they save $3.45 million. And if they do it post June 1, they say, they save $6.275 million. If they do it post June 1, they save $8 million, right? So just do it pre-June 1. Don't worry about it, and don't incur any cap in 2027. The Bills have the room to make cap space. So we'll see. But a better OC, I agree. See, Brady seems to lack the ability based off what is happening in game. Yeah, he lacks the ability to make adjustments, from what I can tell, and that's probably what got him fired in Carolina. Last year, he was outstanding. The Bills were outstanding. We went 13-4. Probably should have gone 14-3, but we didn't start our starters the last game because our spot in the playoffs was locked up. Right? There was nothing to start him for. You just let the Josh go out there and start, and then you take him out the game. I'll be back. 1 second. Right, so last year was just so much better, and this year they had tape on Brady's offense. That's what it is. Whenever you see a guy like a quarterback come in, right, and they're all piss and fire year 1, and in year 2, they suck, right? They have that sophomore something. It's because they saw you on tape, right? They got tape on you, and they now know how you play, and they now know where to roll their coverages. The same thing is true for an offensive coordinator. That's what's happening now. Same thing happened in Carolina with Brady. People saw his offense the first year. They played pretty well, and then the next year fell apart. They had 2,000-yard receivers, and Curtis Samuel had 850 that year. Haven't been able to get Curtis Samuel doing jack since he's been here. And I don't know if it's his fault. I don't know if it's Curtis Samuel's fault or if it's the coordinator, which I'm assuming it's the coordinator because previously Curtis Samuel's put up around 650 per year. Elijah Moore, last year on the freaking Browns, put up over 600 yards and like 4 touchdowns or something like that. Like, where is that success with these guys who've been successful previous? Curtis Samuel is like 26, 27 years old. Elijah Moore is 25. If I'm correct, he's 25. Elijah Moore, let's see. He's not even in his prime to be past it yet. That's the crazy thing. He's 25. He'll be 26 in April. He's played in the NFL for 4 years. It's insulting what's going on. See, in the last 6 games, Josh Allen has 7 interceptions. Geno Smith only has 6. To be fair, Geno Smith's probably not throwing it as much, but neither here nor there. I don't want to justify that stat because that's tough. That's a tough one. See, he lacks the ability to call plays. Well, he's calling plays. He's calling shit plays. Pardon my French. See, the coach has been there for 9 years, and we haven't been to one Super Bowl appearance. So when is it going to be enough to get a new head coach in GM? I don't know if that's really what you want, man. I mean, you may think you want that, but they've been on the cusp of getting to a Super Bowl. Last year, they were 3 points away from getting to a Super Bowl or tying that game and getting to a Super Bowl. I don't necessarily know I want to get rid of that, right? Because you don't know who they're going to hire after that. I mean, you have Josh Allen, so you have coaches out there who are going to want to come here and coach Josh Allen. Question is, who's this new fresh crop of coaches, and which one's going to be better than Sean McDermott? I've said this before, only 4 coaches and 3 quarterbacks have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes might not make these playoffs. He might not make these playoffs. If he does, then, we'd probably have to deal with him if we get to the AFC Championship game, if we get there, and if he gets there. But that's way down the line. Izzy, what gets me why Josh always runs straight to the bench and doesn't rally his troops. He just grabs his pad and sits by himself. Other QBs rally their troops. It's bothersome. And Josh, has been known to be that guy too. Josh has been known to be that guy too. I don't know what's going on. I think he's frustrated with the offense. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. If you were going through what he's going through right now, would you want to sit there and chat with everybody? And I think he's just, disheartened. So McDermott could learn some things from Houston, DL. Yes, he could. He absolutely could. Because our D-line, since Oliver and Hoyt are gone, has been garbage. For the game that we had Hoyt, game and a half we had Hoyt, man, the defensive line looked promising. When we had him and Oliver, wow. But those two guys go down, and now the defense looks like crap. We had two rookies in a defensive tackle at times in this game. You know, it's been tough to watch. Why doesn't Josh throw the ball away? That's a good question, too. Because he feels like he has to be the hero, probably. He feels like he's got to sit there and he's got to go win this game. And if he doesn't, then we're not going to win the game. That's probably what it is, especially in games like this. Exactly. I'm not sure what you're saying exactly, too, but I'm guessing it's something I said. Bills are inconsistent. They are inconsistent. They are consistently inconsistent this year. See, it's clear that Josh is frustrated. He says to Trubisky, "What are we doing?" Thus the title of the show. What are they doing? We could have had Waddle. We maybe could have had Waddle. I don't know if the Dolphins really wanted to trade him. I know there's rumors out there about Waddle. The Dolphins wanted our 2026 first-round pick and next year's second, but Brandon B wanted to give him this year's second and next year's first. I don't know how true that is. It is a rumor, but if that rumor is true, then yeah, we could have had Waddle, and being a cheapskate, did what he did. So don't sleep on Waddle being a Bill next season. It'll probably be revisited. I hope it is. Because since Tyreek's been down, he's been playing very good ball. So do you believe that we have the funds to bring Brandon Ayuk here if he does leave San Francisco? So he's under contract there. So they actually before he got hurt and blew his knee out, or after that, if I remember correctly, he signed a new contract with them. So he should be locked up there for like 5 years. I can look though. I got Spot Track on speed dial right now. Brandon Ayuk. Let's see. He is under contract until 2028. They have an out in his contract after 2026. They may be willing to trade him, but I don't know if I want to go after a receiver who just blew his knee out. We did that with Von Miller's situation, and he blew his knee out too. I don't know. We'll see. So the coaches didn't lose the game against Houston. Only the players should take responsibility, starting with Josh Allen. He had probably his worst game ever. No. Last year's game against Houston was way worse. Way worse. That game last year against Houston, nine completions out of 30 total passes. That was god-awful. See, no bones about it. 76-39 says situational play calling is the main Achilles heel of this team. They should have taken a field goal on 4th and 1. Cook got stuffed on. Yeah, they should have taken a field goal there, and that would have put them in position to only need a field goal to win the damn game. They would have only needed a field goal to win that damn game, but no. Let's go for it. You didn't have to live on the edge of a blade in that situation. Then, in that last drive, when we get to the red zone again, Josh doesn't have to throw an interception. We can just run the clock and kick the field goal and go home. We'd still be complaining that we looked like crap against Houston, but we'd at least be complaining as winners. See, no, Miami would not trade to us because Bills are in the same division. They are in the same division, but stranger things have happened. If you sweeten the pot enough, they'll take it. Because eventually the leverage is on their side. He held onto the ball for far too long against the number one defense in the NFL. Allen missed open receivers throughout most of the game. That's true. He did hold onto the ball too long sometimes, and also at times that D-line was through that O-line like it was nobody's business real fast. But there were definitely plays where he held it too long, and he scrambled and went backwards and then got sacked 15 yards back. So, yeah, he has to take responsibility as well. Josh Allen has to take a big, big chunk of this responsibility. Bean is not a good talent evaluator. I disagree. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but we've gotten some good players on this team. Now, bad contracts. Now, if you tell me you want to complain about the contract that they gave Terrell Bernard, well, he was hurt 3 of his 4 rookie seasons, of his rookie contract, and now he's hurt again, and they paid him $50 million, and so there's that. There's a complaint there. They paid who is it? Who else did they pay? They paid Taron. He looks like he's on a decline. They paid Rousseau. People complaining that he doesn't get enough sacks for his contract. His Rousseau's contract is not that of an elite pass rusher. It's a contract of a good defensive end. An elite pass rusher is making $30-35 million a year right now. They're getting almost QB money. See, maybe Brady should be on the sidelines to answer questions, not hide up in the box. Maybe. I try not to worry about those things. They have adjustments to make. They have 10 days to do it from the time of the game to the next game against Pittsburgh. So let's see if they can make some adjustments that make sense. I think it's Pittsburgh next, right? Houston, yep, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England, Cleveland. I will be in Cleveland, guys. So if any of you guys, are in that area for that game, holler at me. See, on the last drive, Knox was wide open and probably would have scored if thrown the ball. All of Josh Allen's interceptions were thrown into multiple coverage. They were dog shit. Simple as that. See, the Bills don't know how to use them. How to use who or what? See, completely insane. If anybody is to blame, it's Josh Allen. Yeah, I agree. He's to blame too, but the coaching is also to blame. Crappy play calls in certain times, like again, the James Cook 1-yard run, they could have kicked a field goal, or they could have had Josh with the tush push again. A lot of different things, but Josh Allen definitely holds a lot of that blame. So he still hasn't learned the most fundamental lessons. The most important being stay alive for another down. His turnovers and losing yardage have cost the Bills decent fields. Yes, they have. Yeah. He's playing sloppy and reckless this season. We love Josh, but we need to address what is wrong with our leaders. Go Bills. You know what? Very little of what you said that I disagree with. Very little, if anything. See, Josh has had 3 different OCs in 8 years. It's not bad. I mean, look at some other teams, right? Some other teams just they roll through OCs because their OCs get picked up for head coaching jobs. The Eagles, for instance, Jalen Hurts has had like 3 OCs. It happens. Who would you pick as a new OC? I'm looking at teams who have head coaches that were OCs and are on the verge of firing their head coaches potentially. And in firing their head coaches, that OC would now be available to take another OC job. Like I believe Gannon in Arizona, is a head coach who was an OC and now is on the hot seat. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, another guy who I think as an OC is a really good OC. You bring someone in like that. You look at someone from the Shanahan tree you could bring in. I think that they could, draw up an offense that Josh could run and have fun doing it, right? If Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, and a slew of other people can do it, then that might be the way. Or you pick somebody up from the Ben Johnson staff, or someone from another good offensive mind in the NFL. Man, I really like Stefanski. If he gets fired this year, which it's Cleveland, so he's probably going to get fired after this year, and they're probably going to look for a new head coach because they're going to have a high draft pick, and so they'll be able to allow that head coach to pick his quarterback. The Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski is a guy who I got my eyes on. See, Knox was wide open because they set a pick and got called for offensive pass interference. Touchdown wouldn't have. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. Terrell Bernard was wearing a sling. Yeah, he got hurt during the game. At this point in time, Matt Milano looks more durable than Terrell Bernard. So, see, Bean should have hired Ben Johnson, but McDermott is his buddy. Pagula. So this is actually inaccurate. Brandon Bean didn't hire Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott was the head coach of the Buffalo Bills before Brandon Bean was the general manager, right? So the Bills fired Rex Ryan, and they maintained Doug Whaley and that front office for the purpose of the draft. And then right after the draft, they fired all of them, and then they hired Brandon Bean. So, just a devil's advocate question. If Josh was that unhappy with the offense and the OC, do you think someone should be fired and something would change? JA17 is the most influential person in the organization. I agree with that statement. I think that Josh is unhappy with the play calls. I think he does love Joe Brady, and he's probably trying to work with him to try and figure out what the problems are. But if they fired Joe Brady now, which he would be the guy, I think, right? Because the defense is not great, but they definitely are more of a bend don't break than they have been earlier this year. They've been much better. especially with Max Hairston out there, you know. And even when he went down in this game with a concussion, you know, Max Hairston went down with a concussion. Jamarcus Russell went in there, and they still didn't score any points. So the OC, I think, is who they go would have to get fired. And if they did fire Joe Brady tomorrow, which tomorrow would be the day that they would fire him, they wouldn't fire him, you know, right after the game because it was a Thursday game. So they would want to take their time. If they fire Joe Brady, Aaron Cromer's the guy on the staff right now to see what he's got. He's been an OC before. He's called plays before. He knows this playbook inside, out, sideways, backwards, forwards. And he's the O-line coach. So the most important part of this offense, other than the quarterback, is the O-line. So I think he would be the guy. We could only afford one, possibly two more losses. Maybe, I mean, if we lost two more games, we could finish the season at 11-6. We'd still be in the playoffs, most likely. I don't see the Chiefs, Jaguars, Chargers, I don't see all of them going 11-6, but they could. Also got to remember some of those teams play each other. Like the Chiefs play the Chargers again. One of those teams got to lose. Bean gave out ridiculous contracts. So the numbers themselves weren't ridiculous, and he paid them adequately for what the person talent-wise could do. But the Terrell Bernard one sticks out to me because he's always freaking hurt. He's always injured. You can't pay somebody who's always injured. You can't do it. It's reckless. It's reckless. See, why can't our offense adjust in the second half? Because our offensive coordinator is incapable of getting away from his own game plan. See, how doesn't Gabe get that second foot down? He's a good player, but never been able to make big catches. That's not true. So Gabe Davis is known as the toe dragger, right? If you remember the playoff game against the Colts a few years back, Gabe Davis is catching sideline catches like it's nobody's business. The ball just wasn't in a position to where he could get that second one in, or that he could see where the line was to be able to, you know, trigger his feet forward. But man, Gabe missed an opportunity there, and you know that could have been the game. That could have been the difference in the game. So you're not wrong about him not getting that foot in there, but he's known to be that guy to make those crazy catches. He's known for dropping easy ones. Like Gabe drops easy passes. Him and Knox were always known for that. Like they make all the hard shit, but they can't catch the easy ones. So the reason Brady looked good last year is because the turnover ratio. Brady does not know how to make adjustments. I agree. I was reading that comment there. Yeah, I agree. Cole Bishop all heart this week. Cole Bishop all heart all year so far. Like he's just gotten better and better and better and better and better. He's a guy that you extend, right? So long as he doesn't get hurt, he's a guy you extend. You can't extend now. After next year, he'll be eligible. See, Bills need to go get Brandon Cooks. Nothing to lose. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm sure he'd love to play with Josh Allen. He's bounced around the league a lot. He's also been a 1,000-yard receiver with bum-ass quarterbacks. So, yeah, why not? See, McDermott made a concerted effort to destroy the high-flying offense, wants to run because his defense can't stop a nosebleed in big spots. I don't know if that's true. They stopped the Texans a lot this game, right? They stopped the Buccaneers last week. Like, they can. They just don't as often as they should, which sucks. But Mike McDaniels could be the Bills' next OC. He's a Shanahan guy, and I mentioned Shanahan guys, and I think that he can put together an offensive game plan. I just think the Dolphins' problem is their quarterback is physically limited and mentally limited. I don't think Tua's, that brainy of a quarterback to be able to really manage an offense without having superior tools on the team. I think that the Shanahan tree is one way to go for offensive coordinator. Man, how were the Bills not in on Pickens for a third? What a miss by Bean. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'd have gave up a second for him for what he's doing this year and for what he did when CeeDee Lamb was injured and he took up the number one mantle and was balling out. Yeah, that's not a hot take. Joey Hatch in the building. 12th Man Mafia. So the biggest issue with Gabe, OPI, Knox being open, play is that Prater didn't miss that Pat would have been for the So if Prater didn't miss the PAT, then we could kick a field goal there and then tie the game and go to overtime and see what happens. See, Rocky Mountain Bills Mafia podcast. There you go. McDermott hired Bean. Yep. All right, let's see. Guys, this is this is a hard week to watch. It was a hard week to watch. Cowboys won. I don't care about that. We don't play them. They're a team that we hate because they beat us in Super Bowl twice. But outside of that, I really don't care about the Cowboys. Like they got their own problems to deal with. Let's see. Pickens has been a monster, and he was ours for a third. Bean sleeping again and worried about some attitude. Attitude aside, I know he just got rid of Diggs, but this would be a much younger Diggs, still in their physical prime, with the ability to produce on this team. Production should be the number one thing. See, the contract that was horrendously mismanaged was Von Miller trade. So we didn't trade for him. We just signed him off the street. They really mismanaged that one when they restructured his deal, right? Because we had to hold on to him for one extra year because of that. We should have paid Tremaine Edmonds. Yeah, we should have paid Tremaine Edmonds, but let's be fair here. Bills Mafia was really against that. Bills Mafia was like, good riddance, Tremaine. A lot of people were like, he's still young. He's got time to develop still. And they're like, no, he's been in the NFL for 4 or 5 years. It's time to move on. And now that youth where he was learning the NFL game, where he was in the NFL from the time he was 19, now he's starting to look great in Chicago. So maybe they should have kept him because these small linebackers are getting hurt way too often. We need some beef in the middle there to make some hits. And we have Shaq Thompson, who, he's been injured a bit this year, but when he's on the field, he's good. Him and Dorian should be our starting linebackers, in my opinion, as of right now. And then on obvious passing downs, you bring in Matt Milano. See, he also said that about Dorsey. 2 games later, he was fired. Boom. Fans keep pointing fingers at players on the offense. They are not being used correctly. Many are hating on Coleman, but I, for one, think he would have had a huge impact in the Houston game. Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe he would have, but the discipline has to be handed out, right? You can't be a weak coach. Bean should have went all in with a unicorn at QB. In the same time, the Rams went all in and traded all picks, won a Super Bowl, now have rebuilt and are one of a Super Bowl faves. And have 2 first-round picks, 8 years in, and Bills have 0 elite studs. What are we doing? Good question. Good comment. Very good comment. So you don't realize we have to outscore people because, again, McDermott's defense folds in the playoffs. McDermott's defense folds in the playoffs against the Chiefs. And then that one time against the Bengals, our offense folded. This defense doesn't fold against everybody. The Chiefs fold them. That's Mahomes. And that's special. That's a special player. That's a different animal. See, I stopped watching at half and just listening. It ached my heart. Yeah. Tremaine is on IR now. So him being on IR now does not necessarily mean he would be if he was here. In different situations, we'll see what happens. Edmonds is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Maybe. I'm not sure about that, but he's definitely playing lights-out football. See, McDermott thinks that undersized is faster. Well, undersized usually is faster. I mean, generally speaking, like Matt Milano was a safety in college, and safeties are, generally speaking, faster than linebackers. And Matt Milano was intercepting passes 30 yards down the field as a linebacker in the NFL. The problem is the NFL is shifting again, right? I've said this before on shows. The NFL goes in waves, right? Offenses get bigger, stronger. So the defenses get bigger and stronger in response. So then you get linebackers like Tremaine Edmonds, who's like 6'5", 250 pounds, to contend with the Derrick Henrys of the world, right? Then when the defenses get the upper hand there, offenses change. They go, the defense is way too big. So we're going to get fast guys who they can't touch. And then you end up with LaShawn McCoy's, James Cook's in the NFL with Ray Lewis's, Brian Urlacher's, such and such, right? We are now moving towards the bigger bodies now. Linebackers are now going to be bigger again. Look at the safeties. Safeties are getting bigger again. Imunwari for Seattle, big boy safeties. Kyle Hamilton for the Ravens, big boy safeties. Cole Bishop, 205, 210 pounds. Big boy safeties. You're seeing those 210-pound safeties. Your linebackers shouldn't be 10 pounds heavier than your safeties. Just not how it should go. These kids coming out of college are more athletic. We should have drafted Leo Chenal. We had the opportunity to do that. We should have drafted the Sanders kid that the Broncos got. We should have drafted Jihad Campbell this year. I think that we could have traded up and got Max in the second round, like we got TJ Sanders. We got TJ Sanders in the second round at 43. I think Max probably would have fell there. We could have got Jihad Campbell in the first, and then we could have traded up for Max after that. And I'd be a happy man. You get Jihad Campbell on this defense, man. But the rich get richer. It is what it is. See, Josh Allen needs to win a Super Bowl. He's not getting any younger. He's not getting any younger, but he's also not super old. He's 29. Quarterbacks play till they're 40 now, but I also don't want to wait 10 more years for it to happen. So, if the Bills moved on from Coach McDermott and Brandon Beane, if they were to do something like that, then I would hope that they go after, top-notch general manager prospects and head coaching prospects. Like, you got to go after, something. Look at the Eagles situation and figure out which of their coaches is really a guy that can head coach. The guy who was the Raiders' interim head coach when they fired Gruden, I think he's the special teams coordinator in Green Bay now. That guy did a hell of a job with the Raiders, and they went to the playoffs and they beat the Chargers, and that dude was pretty good. See. What are you watching? McDermott defense also lost to a third-string Dolphins QB. The Colts were a drop ball away from beating us all at home. Yeah. Almost lost to a Dolphin. So, what did the Dolphins score in that game? What was their score? The Colts almost lost to the Colts. They were a drop pass away from beating us. Maybe we get down the field and take care of business. This is football. You either win the game or you lose it. Especially in the playoffs. There's no ties in the playoffs. Phillies assistant GM and Cliff Kingsbury. If Cliff Kingsbury could find a defensive coordinator to kick ass, yes. If we get a Jim Schwartz back here. I loved Jim Schwartz defense. That defense was attacking. See, players are bigger, faster, and stronger, pushing the limits of sports science. My only criticism of this is that they are no longer durable, pushing the limits. Injuries are at an all-time high. They are, but you got to roll with what's working now. You can't stick with stuff that's been working for the last 5 years, and then now that things are shifting, you don't want to be behind the curve. You want to be ahead of it. See, Peyton Manning was 31 before he won his first Super Bowl. True that. See, in week 4, Edmonds recorded 6 tackles and an interception in a 40-0 win over the Texans, earning AFC Defensive Player of the Week. NFC. He's a Bear now. See, Houston's defense sacked down 8 times. We got no protection from his O-line. That's true. He got no protection from that O-line. That O-line was terrible this week. Terry Pagula will never fire Sean McDermott. I think he would if it came down to it. I don't think that Sean McDermott is the one that really needs to be fired. I think. See, I said Schwartz too. Schwartz's defense is nasty. Even if it's McDermott, right? So let's say you have Sean McDermott. They fire Brady and they fire Babbage, and McDermott goes, you know what? I need a fresh set of coordinators, right? I need a guy on offense who can really push things with my quarterback and help him get to the next level and become more consistent. And I need a defensive coordinator who can bring in a fresh set of eyes with a similar concept to mine, but more aggressive, and that allows our front four to really get after quarterbacks, right? And the next year you get Ed Oliver back and you get Hoyt back. That's a recipe for success, I think. See, Geno got sacked 11 times by the Browns. Holy shoot. That's crazy. See, Jim Schwartz should have been our head coach, not Rex Ryan. I agree with that too. Instead of Rex Ryan, it should have been Jim Schwartz. The defense was humming. Rex Ryan comes in and blows up what he was doing on defense, and Marcel Darius looked like crap. Freaking Mario Williams looked like crap. The defense that was awesome looked like crap. You hire Jim Schwartz. The defense stays what it was, the 4th best defense in the NFL, and then you allow him to get an offensive coordinator to really start doing things. Man, it could have been crazy. So how long you giving McDermott no QB coach combo ever won a Super Bowl? Okay, so just because no one's done it before doesn't mean that they won't do it in the future. So No team has ever gone to 8 AFC Championship games in a row. Chiefs have done it now. No team had gone to 4 Super Bowls in a row. Bills did it. Like, sometimes things that never have happened happen. We'll see what happens. But I think that as long as Sean McDermott is getting this team to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs, which is the thing, right? Like, Marvin Lewis held his job in Cincinnati for 15 years, went to the playoffs almost every year, and lost every single time. Never won a playoff game. Sean McDermott is winning playoff games. He's getting the AFC Championship games. They're just faltering to the Chiefs and at one time to the Bengals. It's not about how many years. It's about when does he not look, or when does this team look like it's not a playoff contender anymore, right? And even so, like, look at Sean McVay. Before they won the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, right? They went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. They lost that Super Bowl. The next year, they didn't look good at all. Then they went and traded for Stafford, got Stafford, and they didn't win a Super Bowl, right? Sometimes you have a down year. They went all in with Goff, too. Didn't win it. Then they went all in with Stafford, and they won it. See, our defense is bland and needs some nasty. Yes. See, if we don't make playoffs, I'm on fire McDermott train. Hey. If coaches that don't make the playoffs, they deserve to be fired, right? So if we don't make the playoffs with Josh Allen at quarterback, I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be pro fire him. I'd be like, okay, look, next year we can start doing things different. We can unload some contracts, but this is it. See, hire Schwartz again as DC and Ryan Grubbs as OC. Grubb is a great younger mind that has been successful with multiple teams in multiple situations. Wouldn't be mad at that. See, Josh Allen not winning a Super Bowl is coaching malpractice. Kind of is, but, there's this other guy with his other really, really good coach. Their names are Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Those guys got stuff to say about it too. And now you have these other AFC teams who are, putting it together. The Colts, the Broncos, Sean Payton. There's other teams. There's not a lot of those head coaches out there. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's just not a lot of coaches and players that want to come to Buffalo because Buffalo's weather. Because, and I hate to say that, because I love upstate New York, right? But it is what it is. Some players like that type of thing. Like Josh Allen, he played at Wyoming. He's from California, but he likes a small town. We'll see. But, yeah, the offense is really the problem here. In my opinion, Joe Brady has got to go. It's time, right? I like Joe Brady, the coach, as a QB coach, but he's shown that in the NFL as an offensive coordinator, and even at LSU, he wasn't the offensive coordinator. He was a passing game coordinator. They had a separate guy for the run, and Joe Brady's done fine drawing up the run game, but he's not done so great drawing up the entire offense. See, McDermott will never go outside the building for coordinators. Too much of a control freak. Wants young yes men. I don't know if that's true. People have said that, and it's always been fans. I've never seen somebody from inside the building say that. Like, I never saw Brian Dable actually say that. People said it about Brian Dable, but I don't know if that's true or not. Like, they hired Dorsey from inside. They hired Brady from inside. I don't know if they hired Dable from inside. I have to look at that, because Dable's a different cat. He was in the New England coaching tree with Belichick, and then he was offensive coordinator in Miami, and then he came here. I don't know if he wasn't. I think he was our second OC because Rick Dennison was the first one when we had Tyrod, and then he got fired. But let me see, Brian Dable. Let's see. He was the coordinator at Alabama, so they did bring him in from outside the building. See, I can't believe we lost the division. We haven't lost the division yet, buddy. All we need is the New England Patriots to lose to two other teams, and then we beat them, and then we win out and we win the division. But it's definitely high probability that they're going to win it. Joe Brady is not a good OC. Agreed. Dable was with Alabama. Yep. Dable told McDermott to step off. Dorsey and Brady had no chance. I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you there. That one, you're on point. Dable, when him and McDermott went at it, they went at it. But that's fine. That's healthy. That's healthy. It also happened at Alabama with Dable. Him and Coach Saban. They had the same type of deal. Can we hire Dable as OC again? We could probably if he wants to come back. I mean, it'd be a good way for him to get his resume back up again, so that way he could find another head coaching job somewhere. But I don't know, guys. I don't know. But I think that the Bills need to find themselves an experienced D coordinator. If you can get Bobby Babich, to go back to coaching the linebackers, and then bring in another defensive coordinator, one with some experience and some really crazy schemes. Like I don't know, man. Maybe if they did fire McDermott and they bring in like a Brian Flores, like that'd be pretty crazy. Like I like Brian Flores for the Dolphins. He didn't like Tua as his quarterback, and that's basically what got him out of there. I think the guy from the Raiders, I think it was Rich Bisaccia. That's the guy who I liked as well. Like he coached the hell out of the freaking Raiders that season. But yeah, the Bills need to either get a new OC, or he needs to pull his head out of his ass before he gets himself fired, if he's not already on his way out the door. But guys, I think most of us are kind of on the same page, even though we disagree on some things. Some of us just, feel like this is not going to happen with McDermott. Some of us are okay with McDermott and think that there are other things to fix. I'm looking at the offseason already for when these contracts come up, because I don't know if this team's a Super Bowl team. Granted, there have been teams that didn't look like Super Bowl contenders until they got to the last couple weeks of the season. They're wild card teams, and then they push and make the playoffs, make the Super Bowl, and kick ass. Is this team that? It's impossible to predict that. Like it's just not. It's not realistic to predict that. But I digress. I just think that some things on this team have run their course, and there's some things that need to be brought back in or brought to a more fresh situation. Let's see, 2026 off season. We have very little dead cap next year. So I'm looking at next year's dead cap situation: $432,166 of dead cap space, 28th lowest in the NFL. That's an awesome number right there. Cap space though, $8.7 million. Now, the Bills were to do like I said and cut some of these guys. You drop a Curtis Samuel here. You let go of a Taron Johnson there. Taylor Rapp. Get him out of there. There's some players that can be dropped that will help this team cut quite a bit. Dwayne Carter. I think that ship has sailed. Let's see, Javon Solomon is another guy you can let go. I like Javon Solomon, but he's just, it's not worth the $1.7 million that he's going to get, or $1.13 million he's going to get paid. Let's see. Yeah, there's some guys that can let go to make even more money and then be able to make an impact. Sheesh. What a bleak week for the Buffalo Bills. What a bleak week. This is freaking horrible. Let's see. Okay. So without the rollover, $6.52 million. Matt Milano. Let's see. Curtis Samuel. Yeah, this is the same for this year. Anyway, this will be a conversation to have later. But yeah, see, I don't think he's a controlled freak. He's loyal to a fault, kind of. See, whilst being his GM, never going to hire someone outside the circle, he could hire Bryce Pop, an example. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true or not. Dable wasn't part of the circle, you know. People McDermott is not going anywhere next year. Pagula feels that him and Bean deserve a chance at new stadium, although I digress. I don't think they deserve to be fired as of yet. I mean, we're gonna make these playoffs, and we're gonna see what kind of run they can go on, and if they can do something, awesome, and fine. But guys, that's my show. I'm just gonna sit here and start making me cry. See, $20 million for Groot, $13 million for Palmer, $9 million for Samuel, and $13 million for Knox, et cetera, brutal contracts. So Samuel can be released next year. Knox also, I believe, can be released next year. But they'll probably end up keeping Knox and taking that contract. Let me see if I can find Dawson Knox. Knox's contract is only brutal because they drafted our boy there. Right, they drafted Kincaid, and Dawson Knox was a solid tight end. He wasn't like a top 10 tight end, but he was definitely in the conversation for top 15. And the Bills decided that, hey, we want to draft this guy in the first round, and there's that. There is an out in Knox's contract this year. So if I manage his what the hell? So if the Buffalo Bills were to cut Dawson Knox 2026 pre June 1st, they save $9.66 million. If they cut him post June 1st, they save $12 million. But they would kick $2 million down the road. Just cut him outright. And then if he wants to come back, you bring him back at a lower number. That's what I would do. I'd bring him in and I'd say, Dawson, check it out. We need to lower your number, or you're going to have to go. One of those two things is going to happen. Because this ain't working right now. So we roll across. If they were to trade Dawson Knox, they'd save the 9.664. Yeah, so it's the same thing, trades or releases. No difference for Dawson Knox. But yeah, guys, that's my show. I really hope that you guys have a good rest of your day, an excellent week, and we're on to the Pittsburgh Steelers next week. So we'll see what happens. Do good, be good, God bless, and go Bills. Love all you. You guys take care. And yeah, I'm out of here.